And thank you all for opening your laptops wherever you are and joining us for In It to Win It, our first ever virtual gala. Tonight, we celebrate IANGEL's 7th anniversary as the only nonprofit dedicated to harnessing the power of pro bono legal services and connecting it to the cause of gender justice, locally, nationally, and globally. But we're also celebrating so much more. Because today, August 13th, is also the birthday of Lucy Stone, an outspoken and influential suffragist and abolitionist, born in 1818, 202 years ago today. Lucy Stone died in 1893, 27 years before women's suffrage, for which she worked so hard, was won. So tonight, we also celebrate the 19th Amendment, ratified 100 years ago in August of 1920, the culmination of over 70 years of progress, setbacks, and struggle. We celebrate the centennial because history gives context to our own lives and the struggle we're in right now for the soul of our country and the future of our planet. And we're in this struggle to win it. Yes. The world is crazy right now. A pandemic rages, millions are out of work, and forces of bigotry and greed are rampant. I know in this moment, it feels like the wheels are coming off the world. But history has shown us that humanity has survived crises before, and strong, compassionate people got us through it. So let's think about the world 100 years ago. World War I, supposedly the war to end all wars, ended in November of 1918, leaving tens of millions dead. A flu pandemic from 1918 to 1919 killed an estimated 50 million people worldwide, over 600,000 in the United States. Unlike COVID-19, the flu pandemic last century was especially deadly to younger people, devastating an entire generation. In this setting, those who mobilized the ratification of the 19th Amendment were a diverse and determined coalition. They disagreed on tactics, but they shared the same goal. Carrie Catt, a keen strategist who built alliances, led the mainstream SUFs. Alice Paul led the ACT UP feminists of her day, whose civil disobedience and hunger strikes compelled attention to the essential injustice of denying women the vote. With Catt and Paul, we celebrate African-American suffragists like Mary Church Terrell, whose words, "lifting as we climb," became the motto of the modern day movement to protect Black women's right to vote. We celebrate Sojourner Truth, who reminded us that truth is powerful and it prevails. And we celebrate Ida B. Wells, who defied the racist SUFs as she proudly strode to the front of the National March for Suffrage in 1913, linking arms with her white suffragist sisters. As we celebrate these amazing Black women, we recognize that voting rights for people of color remain a struggle to this day, and we must fight to protect the right to vote, and we are in this fight to win it. Now, while we all know that the 19th Amendment was ratified, many are unaware of how perilously close the effort came to failing. The last state to ratify was Tennessee, and the final battle in the Tennessee State House in the sweltering August of 1920 was fraught and dramatic. 100 years ago today, August 13th, 1920, the Tennessee Senate ratified the 19th Amendment, allowing the measure to advance to the House. And while the SUFs had previously lined up a majority, key support peeled away as betrayals and dirty tricks almost carried the day. The antis moved to table the vote, to try to kill the amendment by delay. The SUFs were on edge as they tallied their support. Those favoring suffrage wore yellow roses. The antis wore red. As the vote proceeded, it looked like the antis had the votes to table. But Representative Banks Turner switched sides during the vote, causing the motion to table to result in a tie and allowing the vote to ratify to proceed. And when it did, another legislator, Harry Byrne, from a conservative district and wearing a red rose, nonetheless said aye, causing the 19th Amendment to pass by a single vote in the Tennessee House and become the law of the United States. The Suffs were jubilant and the State House was stunned. Why did Harry Byrne change his vote? Well, it turned out he had just received a letter from his mother, Phoebe Byrne. She urged him to vote for suffrage, and in that moment, Feb Byrne changed the course of history. Harry Byrne later commented that a mother's advice is always safest for a boy to follow, and that he appreciated the fact that an opportunity such as seldom comes to a mortal man to free 17 million women from political slavery was mine. And so here we are, 100 years later, with powerful lessons from history to guide us. Whatever our differences, we must work together towards our common goal of equal rights for all. Truth is powerful and it prevails. We must wield it against injustice. And we cannot afford to be discouraged by the trials of our times. As Clarissa Pinkola Estes recently wrote, it is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring goal. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding more, adding to, continuing. We know it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. So here we are, ready to take on the next step. We don't know who will be the Feb Byrne of 2020, whose loving voice will change the course of history. What we can do now is honor our brave sisters of 100 years ago with a solemn commitment to vote and to protect voting rights and to continuing the struggle for equality and justice in this world. Tonight and forever, we are in it to win it. Thank you so much for joining us.